Hi everybody! Sally Stitches here, and today I'm going to be doing my March wrap-up. So in the month of March I was able to read 6 books total, and some were really good, some were a little bit harder to get through, but I only have half of them to show you because the other half were actually library books that already got taken back to the library. So I will put links down below for all the different books, and you can check them out if you'd like. So I'm just going to get started real quick. The first book I finished was Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I don't have a physical copy, but this is definitely on my to purchase list because I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, which I'm probably a little bit more generous with my star giving than some other readers. If I really just like a book and get into it, I will give it a lot more stars. And this is kind of a post-apocalyptic sort of type book. There is a flu strain that wipes out 99% of the population, and it jumps back and forth between the current timeline, where it is now, I think it was like 20 years after the flu strain wiped out everybody, and so it follows this group of travelers that are traveling throughout the Midwest in this after world, basically, of after everything has been wiped out and humanity's been wiped out. And then it jumps back to before the flu wiped out everybody and follows some of the same characters, it follows some of the other characters, and just everyone is intertwined somehow, or they know the same types of people and whatnot. And I really liked the back and forth. It kept me interested. A lot of people that have read it and written reviews online about it said they didn't like that because they felt it was hard to follow. I guess I found it easy to follow. So I guess it's kind of your preference on whether you mind the years jumping back and forth or not. And I really fell in love with a lot of the characters, and I found myself not wanting the book to end. And I believe that there is talk about it becoming a movie or like a mini series or something like that. I don't know how, I haven't done a lot of research to see how true that actually is, but I would really enjoy it. I think it would do better more as like a mini series because there's a lot going on in the book, and I know I believe it's a newer release. So definitely check it out. Like I said, Station 11, it's kind of all over the place right now, and it's one of those books that people are either really liking or they're picking apart and really not liking, but I read it really quickly and really enjoyed it. So my second book that I read was The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, and this is a really short book, and it kind of took me longer than I expected. It's only like 150 pages, but I found it really hard to get into initially, and then it was like all of a sudden you're just completely immersed into this world of this young black girl that I thought it was set in the South, and then as I was discussing it online, someone said that it was set in Ohio, and I guess I didn't even pick up on that. So it's not even the South, but the way they speak and the way that they act made it feel like it was the South back in 30s maybe. That's how much I kind of didn't get into this book. It was really good towards the end. I ended up giving it a 4 stars just because towards the end I really got invested in the character, and I felt really terrible about some of the circumstances that ended up happening in the book. I'm not going to give that away, but I mean, it's a classic. As you can see here, it was part of Oprah's book club many years ago. But Toni Morrison, this is kind of my first introduction into her books. I have a couple more of hers that I am going to be reading soon, and yeah, it was just, like I said, my first taste of this type of writing, and the characters were just hard for me to get into, but then once I did, I was like, oh my gosh. And I don't know if I cried during this one, but I maybe did. I'm not sure. The next book I read it was probably my favorite book of the entire month, and I don't have a physical copy. I have been debating on purchasing it, but I might wait till it comes out in paperback. I'm just not sure yet. I'm very undecided on what I want to do. I'm trying to cut back on my book purchasing. But this book was so good, and the book is Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. It's a newer book, and holy crap. So it's like 460 pages, and I read it in 2 days. Like, I could not put this book down, and oh my gosh, like, I don't even really get into a lot of like thrillers or psychological type things, but I don't know, like, this one wrapped me up, and I needed to find out what happened. This is also, it's not really a timeline jumper, but it starts out all these parents of these kindergartners, and something happens, somebody dies, but you don't know who dies, you don't know who did it, and then all of a sudden it jumps back 6 months prior to this event, and it goes, you know, works its way up to the main event, so to speak. And at the end of each chapter, they kind of have a little snippet of like what somebody said to the police or whatever. So it kind of like keeps you in the loop of like how this person might be connected or this person might be connected. And you literally, like, you don't even know who dies. Like, most of the time you know who dies and you're trying to figure out who did it. But this one, you don't know who dies, you don't know who did it. And my guesses for both of them were wrong. So my guess for who was dead was wrong, and my guess for who did it was wrong. But I mean, I was satisfied with the ending. It kind of ended a little wonky, but I mean, there was so much buildup that it's just kind of like, it's like once it's revealed, it's hard to kind of like step away and stop that, and just like end the book. But I mean, it was really good. Like I said, I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars in a heartbeat. I love it. If somebody wants to purchase it for me and send it to me, you sure can. So good, and everybody needs to read it. Like, it read so quickly, and I think I would actually read it again. Like, if I had a physical copy in my hands, I would just read it again really fast, because, even though I know what happens. But it was Big Little Lies. Very good. My favorite book of the month by far. And the next book, Orphan Train by Christina Baker Klein. This one I also do not have a physical copy of. I was trying to read through all my library books. The library had like all these brand new kick-ass books, and I grabbed them all and then was like, oh crap, I really have to like read all of these really fast. So Orphan Train. This is also a timeline jumper. It goes back and forth between the past during the Depression and current day. So the basic premise for this story is there is an older lady that is needing help with some items in her attic, like being organized and tossed out, and this younger girl has to do some sort of like community service time, and so she's kind of intertwined into helping this old lady organize her attic. While in doing so, she finds all these old items of when this girl was young, like under the age of 10, and orphaned, and sent on this orphan train, which was an actual thing. I had never even known about these things. It was before orphanages were a thing. And basically she was in New York, and there was a fire, and she lost her family, and so they sent her on this train which traveled to the Midwest with all of these orphans that basically were sold to families for help. Like, people went to go get a child to help on the farm, or to help clean the house, or to help take care of the kids. Like, they were not looking necessarily for a child to like care for and love. They were looking for cheap labor. So she goes through quite a few different families, and it's just like, it's so heartbreaking, some of these things. This is historical fiction, but I mean, I'm fairly certain that this stuff actually happened, which just like, it just broke my heart, because I couldn't imagine going through this at being like 9 years old. It ties into the girl that is present day because she is in foster care and having a lot of issues with that. And so they find out that they end up having a lot in common, even though there's, you know, like 75 years difference between them in age, and they become good friends. And it's just kind of, it was really awesome because it was this story of this older woman when she was young, but then it also was kind of a coming of age story for present day, for this teenager. I did give this a 5 out of 5 stars as well. I really enjoyed it, and I read it super quickly. I hesitated reading it, and then when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, why did I hesitate reading that? Because I just wasn't sure if I was going to get into it. And to be honest, the only reason I actually really picked it up is because the headers of each chapter tell you what town and state that the chapter takes place in, and a majority of the book is held in Minnesota, which I'm in North Dakota, and so I always get really interested when things are kind of in my surrounding area. So I was like, oh, okay, well that's kind of cool. And yeah, I really, really liked it. So Orphan Train by Christina Baker Klein, definitely go pick that up. So then the next two are from the library as well, but I still have them because I just read them. And the next book I read was My True Love Gave It to Me, and it is compiled by Stephanie Perkins, but it has all of these wonderful authors in there. All are pretty much young adult authors. This is a holiday / Christmas compilation book. It has 12 short stories in it, and to be quite honest, I gave this 3 stars. It was okay. Like, a couple of the stories were really good, and I actually wish that like those stories would maybe be made into an actual book opposed to just being like 20 or 30 pages long, because that's pretty much about how long each story is. And then the others were just kind of like, oh, okay, like, that was weird. I don't know. I could give or take this book. I'm not going to rush out and purchase it. Maybe I will feel differently like if I reread it, probably like around Christmas time or around the holiday time, because I mean, I do enjoy reading the holiday stories and stuff, but I tend to only read them around the holidays, and it's now the end of March. So I saw it, and I had a few friends that recommended it, and so I thought I'd give it a shot, but honestly, like, I don't know, it was okay. But they are coming out with, I believe, a spring collection now. I don't know if it's spring or summer, and I might pick that up just to see if maybe I'll like that one better, since it'll be more seasonal or less holiday-ish or whatnot. But yeah, it was okay. So then the very last book I read, The Opposite of Loneliness, and it's essays and stories by Marina Keegan. This one, I wasn't too sure if I was going to enjoy it. I read this in a day. It wasn't fantastic. I gave it a 3.5 stars out of 5. Not quite a 4, but definitely better than a 3. Half of the stories are fiction and half are nonfiction, and what it is Marina Keegan was this 22-year-old woman that was going to Yale, and she was basically promised a job at, is it the New Yorker, or, I can't remember. A bit of her biography online and stuff, because I was just really curious about her. But she had a very, very promising future in writing. And at the age of 22, she was actually in a car accident with her boyfriend and died. And her boyfriend survived, which I think would just be the most horrible thing. But her boyfriend survived, and she passed away. And so her friends and family and teachers took some of her stories and made them into a book. And so it was kind of surreal reading it. She's a very, very good writer for as young as she was. I enjoyed a couple of the stories more than others. With any compilation book, that's always going to be the case. But yeah, some of the fiction stories were really, really good, and some were just kind of okay. And all the nonfiction was really well, but I personally enjoy a lot of nonfiction stories. So that's just kind of more my preference. Really, really quick read, and it's really awesome. So if you happen to see it at your library or anything, I would definitely check it out. Like I said, I gave it a 3.5 stars out of 5, but it was a really, really easy read, and it was really enjoyable. It's really sad that she lost her life, because she probably could have written some really amazing things as she got older. But at least they put this one together, and this is an actual picture of her. Like I said, I googled a little bit about her because I was just really curious about her personal story. So check that one out. And then the other book that I attempted to read this month and did not finish because it was kind of horrendous, and I only really got like a third of the way through, was The Adult by Allison Esbach. This was actually for my local book club, and I didn't finish the book, and it just was so bad. Like, it's bad. I don't know if it would pick up, but the people that did finish it said that they didn't like it. So honestly, after my book club meeting, this is probably just going to be sent to the library in my unhaul of books that I went through that I'm just giving away. So, wah, wah, wah. There's that. So that was my March month. It was a really, really good month, actually. I had a lot of books that I really, really got into and really enjoyed. So with that, I will see you guys next month.